think she finally has reached house cat level. So she really wanted to be on the couch because her buddy is here. There's a Roo hanging out, helping me work. And Gumbo snuck over here. I didn't even notice her until the coffee ran out and I had to go get up. She actually stayed while I got up and came back. What a goofball. Hopefully you've just seen a lovely clip of my little semi-feral kitty getting pretty comfortable with me, surprisingly. So that has actually made my week. I'm so excited to see her still making progress on her socialization with me. But if not, my camera messes up the sound because I can't lock down frame rate. When I combine clips, it screws up the voice. So if I can't do that, I will tack it on at the end. So otherwise, welcome back to Read Becca. We're going to talk about some books. I did really well at reading this week. I finished up a couple of really big chunky ones from the library, some of the slower moving stuff, so very happy with that. And then I finished up the comic that I mentioned last week. So the first thing I read this week was Dress Codes by Richard Thompson Ford, and I really enjoyed this history of how fashion is used by people in power to control others' bodies and how they portray themselves. And so it really is a kind of a tool of oppression. And I will do a standalone review for that, but it covers a range all the way from, historical England to modern day, from the royals oppressing their citizens to workplace and school dress codes in modern day. And it does get into, in the modern day sections, things like the dress codes impact specifically on women and unfair bias in that. It talks about the unfairness toward LGBTQ individuals. It talks about the situation with people who have religious dress codes and things like the burqa ban. So really interesting stuff. I enjoyed it so much. So that will be its own review. Then I read Master of Poisons by Andrea Hairston, and this one was, I felt pretty similar to when I read The Forever Sea, where it seems like it really needed an edit to focus it in on the intent of it. So I enjoyed it. I think it has some fresh elements that were really great, and but it was just very aimless and about 300 pages to even get to any sort of plots, really. So we have two characters in this that we follow. We have our protagonist, Awa, who is on the cover, and she is a garden sprite, and that doesn't really play any sort of role other than her having bees in her hair that I could tell. So I really wanted to get more of a sense of that. But she has been sold by her family, and so I think 300 pages of this is her on this journey to where she's been sold to, and we don't really know, like, there's no meaning to anything that happens on this journey, really. It's just her, where she's at a different place again, and then the other character, Jula, is this Master of Poison. So he is on a royal council, basically, and everybody thinks he's going to use his conjurer to save them from the poison desert. But we don't really get a good sense of what the conjurer is or how he's going to stop the poison desert. He doesn't seem to know, but that's not somehow a major element of this, his not knowing. And then as well, we don't really get a sense of what the poison desert is. It's clearly not a desert. It's much more like a poison cloud that's growing or shifting. So it takes a long time to get really any sense of anything that's happening. So I did not love that. I did like a lot of the elements of the world building that are there, but I still feel like we didn't get a ton. And what is there didn't seem too useful or, again, very focused to the plot. Like, for instance, there are these proper names of people groups, I guess, that are used all the time, just constantly. but there's nothing that really distinguishes them at all in the book. So there's no point to it. And in the back, there's a glossary for that, and they all are referred to exactly the same as people from the north, basically. There's nothing different described about them. So it didn't make sense. It seemed overly complicated for no reason. And so, yeah, I had a lot of feelings like that. But then there is this vivid writing in here that I just loved. So there is one chapter that stood out where Awa is interacting with a crow. And it's not like a talking crow or anything, but it is so vivid and amazing. And there's another chapter that's from the perspective of a horse, talking about remembering war horses. And again, it's so incredible, and it really stands out. It could have been short stories and, you know, would have been award worthy, basically. But the rest of it seems so muddy and aimless that it just didn't fit anywhere. I still don't know what the point of those chapters was in the larger narrative. So yeah, I got about 20 pages from the end and just didn't know what the point was. Really, I had no idea what the end was coming to. I still don't feel like there was any real cohesive plot line, through line. So it was okay. It was probably a 3 to 3.5 star for me. I don't know whether I'm gonna round up or down, but it was okay. Next up, I read Cosmo Nights, and this one I enjoyed quite a bit more. So this is all about, it starts with two girls, and it looks kind of contemporary initially, and we find out that one of the girls is kept locked in her room, and the other girl, Pan, who is our protagonist here, she is helping her get out, and they go to look up at the stars, and then they start talking about going to travel between planets in space, and we realize they're not on Earth, A, and B, it's definitely not contemporary. So what is going on is that this character that's kept in her room is a princess, and the princesses are used as the prize of these Cosmo Night tournaments, which are mech battle royales, effectively. And so these mech warriors are fighting to win a princess for their sponsor. But we jump time and we run into Pan as an adult, and she has an encounter with, she has always wanted to find her friend again because she lost touch with her. And she has an encounter with these two women, a lesbian couple, who also are kind of sympathetic to the plight of these princesses. So that's all I'll say there. But it has gorgeous, gorgeous art. I absolutely love the artwork. There are wonderful space scenes. So this, amazing. And the mechs are really cool. Let's see if I can find a mech scene. Yeah, here's a mech scene. Mechs. And so I love the art. I really like the world building and characters, so great. But the dialogue is super duper clunky, not very great. But it's pretty minimal. There are whole sections that are told almost entirely through the pictures. So I think the author played to her strengths. So I did really like it though, regardless, and I definitely would pick up more from this author. And actually, let me show off as well. Little French flaps, love that. And like end paper, I guess. Very cool. So just really beautiful. So that's what I read. I had a very good reading week, I think. So then onto the stuff I've got in progress. You've seen several times The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. Still enjoying it. I made some great progress and I'm about 150 pages in now. So that's good. On the Kindle front, I mentioned last week that I had nothing coming from the library. So I grabbed one of my self-pub works on my Kindle backlog, The Dragon's Banker by Scott Warren, and I'm enjoying it so much. It's great. It follows a merchant banker, obviously, and so it's a mundane fantasy pretty much, and I believe this is a standalone completely. So I wish that there were more in this world, and I hope there will be companion novels, because it's really fun. This banker is being hired by a shadowy character who kind of takes him away to meet the person who's hired him, and it turns out to be a dragon. And we're in this world that has or is going through a change in currency to where it will not be commodity backed like ours, where we no longer really have the gold standard. It's similar there, which is obviously going to be a problem for a dragon who has lots of jewels and gold. So this dragon is trying to remain economically or fiscally relevant in a world that is changing. And that's just such a great concept. I love it. So really enjoying that. I'm about 20% in, I think. And then I just barely started Dragman, which is another graphic work. And that is going to be the theme this week, I think. So that's what I'm reading right now. So that's great. I think making good progress on everything. Definitely going to start Drive the Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. And the translator on this, I always forget, is Antonia Lloyd-Jones. So that one is my priority of library stuff to get started into, and that's a pretty short one. And then, of course, I am not capable of going to the library and not picking stuff up. So I did returns this week, and I picked up both volumes of My Brother's Husband, and by Gengoroh Tagame. And let me find the translator. Does not say who. Translated from the Japanese by Ishii. And these were kind of going around and popular with non-manga readers. It is a manga. This is all about a Japanese man and his child who are in Japan, and his brother has passed away, and his Canadian husband, who is this big guy over here, comes to Japan to visit and meet the brother who he, I believe, has never met before. And so I believe there's a big element of kind of breaking down prejudice and homophobia. So I'm looking forward to that, and I've heard great things about this from multiple people. I think mainly, like I said, some non-manga readers. Greg at Supposedly Fun and Simon Savage both really enjoyed this duology. I think it's just the two. And so I'm looking forward to read it. So I think that's it for books. What else is going on in my life? Cat stuff. So obviously you saw we've had a really great week, even despite the fireworks and everything. Gumbo has been like just much more calm around the house with me. Like the way she moves through the house is changing and kind of showing more confidence, which is always weird because I feel like we've hit the best we can do, and then we'll have a noticeable change, and I'm like, oh great, we're making still more progress on her socialization. So this is really good. And then the shelter actually called me. I thought I was going to have another cat because they called on Monday, I think, and we're looking for someone to foster, even just really short term. And they needed someone who knows how to do subcutaneous fluids for a cat, and which is something I have to do with my current foster. So like I had gotten a message about that and got out the crate, put it all together to make sure, so that when I called back I could say either I can take them because I've got this crate so I can quarantine them from my cats, or I can take them if you've got a crate available for me to borrow. So I got it all together, called them back, and they had fortunately found another foster who could take the cat and keep it versus doing just something short term. So like that was a little crazy. Then weather-wise, we had storms here, like really bad storms overnight. So the power went out briefly, but my internet is actually out. So normally right now I would be like catching up on watching videos, and I don't have any internet. So who knows when this is going to be posted. And it just started raining again. It was really gorgeous right before this. I went out and took the dog for a walk, and there's some small debris around all over the place, but nothing major. And I think there was hail in the area, but none where I live. But we're supposed to get more, and I'm just glancing over to the windows because it's looking pretty dark off to the west of me. So yeah, it's going to continue darkening here. What else? I think life stuff. The only interesting thing is I got to see my close friends who I'm going to be taking care of their cat while they're out of town. And it's one of my cat's kittens. So yeah, I love seeing him. I haven't seen him in a year. And so that was really exciting. I also planted a new hibiscus because I have 2 hibiscus in my side garden and they're not blooming yet. So maybe I'll get some footage once they're blooming. But I got a Holy Grail hibiscus and it looks like it blooms really a lot. The volume of blooms is really high. And it's kind of in a similar color, like a dark pink to what I have already. So now that one is going to be in the middle of my garden. And then I got some Irish moss because I have, actually right under the window over here, the water just overflows and is eroding the ground there because that just seems to be where we get the overwhelming amount of rain because we don't have any tree cover right there. And so I planted some Irish moss that will hopefully keep it from eroding as much. So I put that in, and of course, perfect timing. It's getting all this nice rain right now. So I just paused a minute, and it has started pouring rain. So apologies for the noise if it's there. So in other stuff, in gaming, I started back up playing Dragon Age Inquisition. I had stopped for a couple months, I think, just not for any particular reason. I just haven't been getting to it. And I now am realizing that I must be very, very close to the end because I have pretty much no quests left. I have no achievements really left. And so I'm assuming all I've got is the main story quest to do. So I'm progressing through that. So that's been really fun. In watching, lots of exciting stuff in watching. So new stuff that's out. I noticed that Netflix actually added a new episode of Queer Eye, but on YouTube, not on Netflix. And it looks like it might be from an older season, but it's one I don't think I have seen. I'm pretty positive I've not seen it. So I want to watch that this weekend. And then Netflix also added a new show I have been looking forward to, Cat People. It's a docu-series about cat people. So it has a bunch of cat advocates and famous cats that I follow. So I'm really looking forward to that one because it should be just really delightful. And in stuff that I've got going already, Making It is out, has been running for a couple weeks, and that is a reality competition show. It's kind of like Great British Bake Off in terms of structure and how it feels. It's very kind and friendly, and it's hosted by Nick Offerman and Amy Poehler. So it is a great, great show. I love it. And it's all about crafters and makers rather than baking. And then Bob's Burgers. I started it several years ago and had wanted to watch all the way through, and I felt like I made it really far, but really I only made it about 2 seasons. So last year I had wanted to start it back up again, and I decided to start over from the beginning. So I was watching that and making really good progress, and then I stopped for a couple months. And so I just started picking that back up, and I am into season 6, I think. I have 100 episodes left, so I've still got a long way to go to get caught up on that. And I really enjoy the show. It's so feel good, and it's exactly like a short format that is really what my brain needs in these kind of times. So the last one is really going to surprise you. You know that Veronica Mars is a really good show. So it's one that I missed out on when it was actually airing, and it's been on that endless list of old shows that have finished that you want to get back to and binge. And so one night I just was not feeling anything that I had in progress, and so I decided to start it. And I think I've stayed up every night late watching it because I just have been so into it. It's great. It's really consumable. It has such a great cast. It's got some things that are a little dated, but really, really enjoyable show. So I think that is it for what's going on. My weather is continuing to, you can't tell, it just got really bright outside, but it's still raining, so wild weather, that's what you get when you live in the Midwest. Well, I hope you all are having a great week and weekend. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see more.